It's honestly amazing to me how Biden went from campaigning against Trump from practically his basement, fully reliant upon all the various means his side uses to rig and steal elections, to now having to bend over backward and trying to copy the 45th president on the campaign trail. That's how bad the border crisis is hurting the left. They don't even know if their ballot mules and faulty machines will be enough to make up for the difference this time. And so that is how both Biden and Trump will find themselves in Texas on Thursday. Biden will be in Brownsville to try and whip support for his amnesty border sellout deal about 5 hours from where President Trump will be in Eagle Pass, which is where Governor Greg Abbott has made his stand against the feds to protect Texans from the predations of those who come across unvetted. Just this past week, we saw how the media tried to deflect public attention away from the true cause of death for the 22-year-old University of Georgia nursing student allegedly beaten to death by an illegal alien while out for a run. And of course, he had a prior arrest history for causing injury to a child under 17 and for driving with no license a few months back in New York, even though he's only been in the U.S. for about a year and a half. And he was released from a detention center due to lack of space. First, the media was reporting it was a local Athens man who reportedly did the killing, knowing full well that this was not some ordinary resident of the Georgia town, but a man who's not allowed to be living there in Athens or anywhere north of the border. So calling him an Athens man is about as disingenuous as it gets, especially for a media that loves to emphasize the word white in headlines whenever the perp is white. But it gets worse from there because the news spin is that her death was the result of toxic masculinity. That, of course, gives the connotation built up by the media over the years of her death being the result of a culture created by white, straight Christian males against women, instead of it being the result of a crime culture rampant in countries like Venezuela, where the suspect is from, and brought here by illegals who've made it very clear they don't want to assimilate, and they just want to steal or take whatever they can while they're here. Do you know it's so bad now that Venezuela is tearing up part of a bilateral agreement struck last October with the Biden administration, despite the threat of renewed sanctions, because they don't want to keep accepting deportation flights from the U.S. full of illegals from their country, Venezuela, who committed crimes up here in the U.S. Bloomberg even reported back in late December that Venezuela's notoriously high violent death rate has dropped now to a 22-year low. Not because they're following El Salvador, but because so many criminals have left the country to go seek easy prey elsewhere, such as here inside the United States. No wonder Maduro doesn't want them back, and yet curiously the left can't get enough of them. It's almost as they love to see regular Americans murdered and displaced to pay back for our original sin of white supremacy and oppression. It is sick and twisted. Now, guys like this, a Venezuelan migrant living in Ohio, is urging his followers online, all 300,000 of them, to support and pay the fines for the 15-year-old Venezuelan migrant who shot a tourist in Times Square earlier this month. Leonel Moreno also makes videos showing off his baby daughter, saying he doesn't need to work because he gets checks from you, the U.S. taxpayer, because of her. And then he jokes about any migrant or immigrant who comes to the U.S. to try and pay taxes and get a job, basically calling them chumps for not exploiting the system like he is. Joining us now to discuss all this and more is former law enforcement officer Mike Pugliese, the founder of the Pugliese Law Firm. Mike, thanks for being here tonight.
Kara, thank you for having me. Yeah, her love for the Lord was exemplified in every aspect of her life. That was the statement that was released by the family of Laken Riley. Such a tragic and horrible death of this young woman. And you know, Biden's trip to the border may be rare, and it is, but these deaths aren't rare. Laken Riley isn't the only one. There's been several that have been killed. Several young women, students, college age, have been killed by illegals. And somehow that word illegal migrant, illegally in the country, is somehow stricken from the record, which we see in the AP and what they said. They automatically quickly put their own spin team into focus at work to stop it, because it doesn't, like you said, it doesn't fit the narrative. They want this. They want it all strictly to be that America's bad, America can no longer be first, and we have to be not only second, but third class behind their narrative, which is promoting this illegal, unvetted migrants just cross. And it's not a migration. It's no longer a migration issue. It's an invasion issue.